Hey guys, thank you for tuning in to another beautiful episode of Ryan Makes Sense, where we talk about personal finance, investing, and chart analysis. Today, I wanted to do a video on whale wisdom. I think this platform gets its own video instead of trying to crunch it in. This is a great resource to look at high level insider buying, selling, options, hedge fund activity, all that stuff. Let's jump in. All right, you might be asking, what in the heck is Whale Wisdom? Well, Whale Wisdom is a pretty powerful website that allows you to search your preferred stock to see what's going on in terms of buying or selling from institutions and insiders, and also hedge funds. So I recently did a video on Designer Brands Inc., so I think this would be an appropriate review. Let's look it up. I'm gonna have to jump off screen here because I have a slow computer. One sec. All right, I'm still with you, don't worry. So we're gonna do Designer Brands Inc., DBI, and we can see it populate here. So we go and click that, and we're just gonna wait a second. So I would highly recommend that you create a profile on here. It allows you to see more data and it's free. So what could really go wrong here? So just scrolling down. So we saw. Let me make it bigger for you. I'm already logged in. Okay. Um, so we saw that FinViz was reporting a market cap of 1.16 billion. Whale Wisdom is showing 1.02 billion, and Fintel.io was showing 868 million. So they're all just a little bit off. They all have their pros and cons. Um, for up-to-date institutional buying and selling with hedge funds, I like Whale Wisdom. For up-to-date market cap investment value, I like Fintel. And for other data points, I like FinViz. So just looking here, I don't really care about this stuff because I use FinViz for that. So I just skip that part. Let's exit this pop-up. Okay, so here is the kind of the juice, the meat. So we have this awesome table. It shows you the number of 13F filers in the top 10. We have hedge funds and prior. So funds holding right now as of Q3, I believe, is 210. There were 216 holding, but looks like 6 people have sold out. And if we look down one more, 13F shares, 56.8 million are being held currently when it was originally 61.4. So that is about 4 point something, 4.6. 4.6 million shares have been released over the last reporting period. Percent ownership, it went from 93% to 90%. FinViz was showing 93%, and now this is showing 90%, which makes sense because I think FinViz was showing the older data, and I think the Whale Wisdom is more up to date. New positions, there are 40 new positions compared to last quarter, there were 26. So that is up. We can see this is up 53%. That is cool. Increased positions, only 54 different 13F filers increased their positions, representing a negative 28% growth here. 40 people closed their positions last month, last reporting quarter period, and now there are 39, so 2.5% drop there. There are more reduced positions, so we're seeing a lot more people taking some money out. There's a little bit of calls here. Not enough to raise any eyebrows, but it went to 982,000 calls. Last reporting period was 910, so that makes sense. We did go from 13 to about 18, so maybe some people are cashing in there. Total puts, there are a lot less puts, which also that makes sense because people Seems like the masses are agreeing that the stock price is not going to go down as much. But I mean, if we look, we were just at 18 and now we're going to be at a decision point for the next 3 months to see if the stock is going to break back down to 15 and 13 or if it's going to just kind of stay in this range. Again, the monthly candle we were looking at, I'm just going to pop it up here really quick for you guys. So right here, it was in this basically big bull flag on the monthly. This candle broke out of it, and now we have this candle up here. Again, it is beginning of September, so it's bullish to have a candle start at the second half of where the candle closed prior last month. So the candle got really high, went up to 19 something, but it closed at 16, or sorry, it closed at 17. And now we have this candle at the upper half around 1630 right now. Bullish to me. You tell me what your thoughts are. But looking at that, and then also we have hedge funds on the right side. Let's see. Let's just look at the increased over here. Increases. So more hedge funds are holding. About 5 more are holding. New positions. About 10 more new hedge funds have started positions. Also, more hedge funds have reduced their positions. It looks like the hedge funds have sold out of their calls, which means they're cashing in. And there is a lot less puts on the hedge fund side, meaning hedge funds are overall bullish on this for now. So this looks good. And it looks like this data is pulled from the SEC websites. So that's kind of why I also trust this one a little bit more. Scrolling down, now this table is very dynamic and can allow you to see a lot of good data all at once. So I like to do a few things here. I like to look at the change in shares, who bought the most, who sold the most. I also like to look at date reported, and I look for the most current date here. I just want to see what's going on. Also looking at ownership, who owns the most here, who owns the least. I don't really care about who owns the least. It's more about who owns the most. And market value. How much money do these guys have? So let's just look at the change in shares and let's look at wow, a lot of big sellers here. And this one was last year, this year. So let's just look at the change in shares on the upside. So it looks like we have Dry House Capital Management with almost a million shares. They have $11.4 million. Oops, sorry, that's my foot thing. $11.4 million position here. That is crazy. They own 1.4% of the company. Cool for them. This isn't even all their shares. This is just the change in shares. So it looks like they just opened a new position here on 6:30, reported 8:15. Their share price is around $14, so they're up. Good for them. So looking over here, change in shares, shares held principal. So this is where I can see that this was their first time buying. It might not be. This site might be off. So take that with a grain of salt. But looking down here, Baliasny Asset Management, they purchased 700. They purchased 750,000 shares, and their principal is 867. So they at one point they had 117,000 shares, and they just bought a ton more. So looking here, it looks like they first owned it in Q4 2021. Oh, and up here you can see Q2 2022. So these three make sense that it's an initial position. So yeah, this is just showing they did have a position at the end of 2021. They liked the position and they bought a bunch more. Same thing goes with Bank of New York Mellon Corp. We can see they bought 671,000 more shares. So now they own 1.8 million shares. And so it looks like they had 1.2 million shares to begin with. They added 671,000 shares, total position or total market value of 24.4 million. They own 2.9% of the company, and they've been holding this since 2009. Crazy. That is what we call a long-term vision there. So Good for them. They're down on their position, but looking at this, I think they're in this for the long haul, in my opinion. So good for them. They also could be just lowering their average to get out unscathed. So we don't know what their strategy is, just speculating. So again, that's the change in shares. I like this. I also like to look at percent ownership. So who owns the most? And no surprise, this is what it also shows on FinViz, but FinViz is showing about a 20%, I believe, or 19%. So Jay Schottenstein owns 14.1 million shares worth roughly 191 million. He did sell 1 million shares, unfortunately, but he does own 22% of the company. And this was reported about a year ago. So we saw that. That's fine. We see BlackRock. We saw BlackRock and Vanguard decrease their shares a little bit, but they own quite a bit of the company. State Street, look at State Street coming up. They own 4% of the company. I did not see that on Fintel. So that is pretty big. I think we saw William and Blair, but State Street is new to me. They have a high share price. They've owned it since 2005. How crazy is that? That is a long time. 17 years. So good for them. They own 2.5 million shares. They added just 26,000. Not bad. They own $33 million worth of shares in the company. Again, I think we're going to see January be a pivotal month for Designer Brands Inc. We don't really know for sure. Let me come back in the picture. But yeah, Whale Wisdom is super cool. A ton of stuff you can do. You can also go up here and just look by new positions, closed out, added to, reduced, no change, everything. So this is a very dynamic, very up-to-date site you can use to track hedge funds, institutions, insiders, etc. So I hope you guys got some good value out of Whale Wisdom. I use this site regularly. Again, become a member of the site. It's free. It allows you to see this data up here. If you're not a member, it's going to have this data hidden. So just sign up, give them your data. But that's it for me, guys. I really appreciate you hanging out. Hope you're all doing well, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.